Hey friends, I want to talk about the idea of emptying your cup. And it's I think it's from a Zen koan or a story or whatever where someone comes to a guru or a Zen master or something and he's like, I'm here to learn everything you have to teach me. And then the guy is like say, okay, let's have some tea. And then he pours him some tea and then he keeps pouring until the cup overflows, and then the guy's like, stop, why are you pouring so much? I can't drink, like, the tea is overflowing, you can't keep pouring. And then he said something like, just as how the tea is overflowing from this cup, I cannot teach you until you have emptied your cup. Like, and the guy's like, oh, and I don't know if I'm telling the story properly, but the idea is that as long as you are still holding on to pre-existing assumptions and notions and expectations about how things are and how things should be, it's very difficult to learn new things or to discover new things and stuff. And I think another way I think about this is like, in the context of conversations, right? Some people, have conversations that aren't really conversations because people are just waiting for their turn to speak. And the whole time while someone else is speaking, you kind of you're thinking about what you're going to say next. And so even though two people are taking turns to talk, they are like, it's two different monologues. It's not really a conversation. For you to really have a conversation, you have to kind of let go of what it is that you really want to say and focus your time and attention and energy, focus your awareness on the other person. And if you really kind of attentively pay attention to the other person, you will notice that they hesitate for a moment in something when they're saying. They hesitate when they're saying something, or they, like, you say something and then in response they're like, haha, well, and then so they laugh, and then you're like, oh, why did you laugh? Like, you pay attention to those little details, and all the good stuff is in those little details, right? It's kind of, you could think of it as it's in the cracks or in the seams of what is produced or whatever, and the interesting stuff is in the seams. And it's not easy to do. We're not taught how to do this. In fact, I would say, in school and whatnot, we're almost deliberately taught to avoid doing that or avoid seeing that, right? Like our conventional, in my opinion, in like modern Western or post-colonial, modern education systems in school, there's a sense of you must pay attention to the teacher, right? And you pay attention to the curriculum, what's going on in class. And if your attention drifts or wanders off, and again, it's interesting the words that we use, drift and wander off, because if you then allow your attention to go to what is interesting, you get scolded for it. Like, hey, stop daydreaming, stop, whatever, pay attention. And then you get in that habit of paying attention, and it's like in that way, the people that you're talking to, your teachers, parents, peers, right? So I might make a separate video about that, but like peers, they want to fill your cup. Everybody's really eager to fill other people's cups. It does stem from a place of neediness, I think, and insecurity. It's like, if I don't force people to listen to me, who's going to listen to me, right? If people are not paying attention to me, then like, what worth do I have, right? And the thing is, it has to come from the inside. It's an inside job. You are already the monarch of your life. You are already so and so, king of your domain, queen of your domain, first of your name, blah blah blah. And you get to decide what is valuable and worthy and beautiful, and you have to give yourself respect, right? And I mean, you don't have to the same way. Like, so you see, again, talking about this is very difficult because the language we use is so contaminated by the world that we live in. But like, you have to genuinely find what is beautiful about yourself, what it is that you admire and respect about yourself, and you can't demand it. You can't coerce yourself into loving yourself. You have to find what you truly love, right? And that can, for some people, that's really, really difficult because it's the voice in their head, in their heart, really, is so quiet and has been silenced for so long that they don't really know what it is that they respect other than power, right? Which is that someone has the force to be able to tell you what to do. rather than listening to the deep, quiet voice inside you that knows what it wants to do, right? And so you have to empty your cup is kind of to let the power subside, like let the cops in your head go away and let go of neediness and this impulse to control and allow the world to surprise you, right? Do you allow the world to surprise you? That's a good way of approaching this, right? Because the world is surprising. The world is big. The world is so many people, so much everything. Like each of us, our experience of reality is like 0.001% of the world. It's effectively nothing. We effectively don't know anything about the world, but we think we do, right? And we want to believe that we do, and so we have these assumptions about how the world is. And when things conform to our expectations, we are satisfied in some way. And when things don't conform to our expectations, we either ignore it or we find a way to twist the events, to interpret the events in a way that fits our explanations, or we get upset about it or whatever. It's just simply allowing the world to surprise you is very, very powerful, and it's fun. When you let go of the it's also scary. It's fun and scary at the same time. Laughter and anxiety are two sides of the same coin, right? So facing your fears can be painful when you realize that you can't control the world and the world will not behave in the way that you want it to. That can be like, oh god, oh fuck, like it can be really distressing. I It's been years since I had that experience, so I can't recreate that state, but I do have like journal entries and stuff where I was like fuck, I don't know anything. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. It's so distressing. There are all these videos of like very, very young children, like a year old or 6 months old or whatever, and they've only ever seen their father with a full beard, and then the father shaves, and then we watch these videos. The kid, you can look it up on YouTube, right? These kids get so distressed. You can see fear in their face a little bit, and they cry, and they are distressed because they assumed that daddy was a certain way, and their assumption was wrong because daddy, the person, does not necessarily always have a beard. He can shave it, and I believe that continues throughout life. Like we are all that baby, and we are all distressed when reality is not as it seems, right? And the challenge is to find a way to laugh. Like if you can be like, I thought that was that, but it's actually that, or it's something other than what I thought. When you can find the humor in it, right? In life is a joke. Reality, our expectations are the setup, and reality is the punchline, and it punches you in the gut, right? Which, ow, it hurts, but it's also funny. You have to see the humor in it, and I want to make a separate video one day about Alan Watts and how when I was in the worst of my depression in around 2015, it was listening to his lectures, and it wasn't anything he said, it was the way he said it. He had this sense of humor about dark and terrible things, and he made me realize that I too could laugh at my struggles. And when you can laugh at your struggles, you are free. You can never truly be free from your circumstances, from whatever is screwing with you, right? Like if you have bills and you can laugh at the fact that you have bills, the bills don't go away, right? But life is not just an ordeal, it's also an adventure, right? It's not just a tragedy, it's also a comedy. And if you're just suffering, if you're just crying, you're missing out on half the picture, right? And I remember when my dad once had like he had I don't know if it's a heart attack or like something happened to his heart. Like he had a blockage and something, and he had to go to the hospital, and he was close to death in that sense, right? And we visited him, and he was telling us about how he's okay now, and he was telling us about how like the whole night, like someone in his what's that? I'm thinking bunk in his ward. Someone in his ward was just farting all night, and there was something really funny about the idea that you could be so close to death, right? Like not knowing if you're gonna make it through the night or through the next couple of days or whatever, and someone just farting and you all, and right as he told us that guy farted again, and oh my god, we laughed so hard. And it's one of my fondest memories of my father, and I feel like, I will cherish that memory for a long time. And I was worried about him, right? My whole family was there, we were all worried about him, but it was also so funny. And I feel that we should never lose the ability to laugh in the midst of despair. And that's what emptying your cup is about. Done.